Okay guys, what's up? We're back with part 3 of our 3-part video series. If you haven't seen part 1 or 2 yet, check the description. Both of those videos are linked there. This video though is our post-production process. So what we do when we get back from a shoot, come over here, we put all our gear away, we get everything organized, batteries, charging. Then we take out SD cards from the shoot, we get them to the computers as soon as possible, get the footage offloaded. So I'm gonna pass it over to Harrison. He's gonna take it from here.
Alright guys, once you got the footage imported onto your computer, go ahead and open up Premiere Pro here and you can start importing the footage into Premiere. What we typically do is we will put it in different bins here. So we'll drag it all in and then we will go ahead and open up a new bin and we will title that either the name of the camera or the name of the scene or the name of the interviewee. That way we can stay a lot more organized and we'll know very quickly to looking at a bin what exactly is in it, and it's a lot more organized that way. So for this one, we actually just had an audio bin. All these clips are the commercial, all the different takes here. So we just lined them up in order. You can do that by going down here and just hitting name. And that way they're in the order that you shot it. If you have multiple cameras, you're gonna want different bins. It's gonna keep you a lot more organized. You'll be able to find your clips a lot easier. Having all your clips just piled in there randomly is not gonna work. It's gonna take a lot of time to find the shots that you're looking for. So if this was a bigger project or a multiple camera project, we would definitely be having different bins here that I could go in and open. For this project, we had all of them lined up right here, one camera. You can see how they go in order here. And the first thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go in and find each scene. If they're in different bins, I'd go into the bin, but since they're all here, I'm just gonna click first one and shift. You can see this is all one here. Right click, go to label, and I'm gonna color coordinate all these. So all these are gonna be one color. The next scene, all these are gonna be one color. Just right click, go to label, and so on. And as I go down, I'm gonna make sure each scene is a different color. That way, later in the edit, I'll be able to look right at the timeline and know exactly what I'm looking at without having to click in and play it. If you have interviews or a lot of different scenes or takes, this is gonna save you so much time in the long run. So that's something that we love to do right off the bat, just to get started before we even drag anything onto the timeline, just start color coordinating them. So moving forward, I watch every single take. You go in, we watch all the takes that we have, and all I'm gonna do is once I see something I like, I would go down the line here and watch every single one. I see something I like, I'm gonna hit I. Say it was back here, I'm gonna hit I. I'll play it and say I like that take, I'm gonna hit O, and that's in and out, and that's my select right there. I would drag that in, and that would be my clip. So I do that for every single shot here. And it looks like I like this one, so that's this part that I already dragged in, and I like this part of this take, I drag that one in. And then you just keep going down the line and you watch the next scene, you watch all of them. And once you find it, you drag it in and do all of those. So once you drag all those in, you have kind of a very rough outline of the video. I would go in and I'd shave off the ends, shave off the beginnings of some of the clips, try to get it down to that 30-second goal for the commercial. But before I do too much editing, I'm gonna go in and find a song. So for this one, we knew we needed some sort of comedic underlying background tone, and we used artlist.io. It's a great website, it's a yearly subscription. You can go on and download music and have all the licenses to it that you need. We found like a 3-minute song, and we took a 30-second piece of it that we liked, and I laid it in here. And all I did was some pretty simple stuff. I added some keyframes, made it quieter, a little bit louder during some sections, a little bit louder at the end. And I also, if I go to my effects here, added some parametric EQ. You can see the settings I used here, but pretty much what I was doing is just kind of drowning out the music in the background, making it more of an underlying tone. So that's exactly what this does. It's great for having voiceover when you don't want to focus on the music too much. So I did that, nothing too fancy. And the next step was voiceover. We had a professional voice actor. We used voicebunny.com, and we think that it's great. There's a lot of different websites that you can use, but VoiceBunny has been awesome for us. So we went on the website and we found a bunch of different examples that we could listen to of different actors. Once we found one that we liked, we sent him the script and he read it, and we had a couple tweaks that we sent back and forth. He redid a few parts for us, said it a different way, or we added a word here and there, and once it's approved, we got it in, and all I did was drag it in here. You can see, this is the voiceover. So now we have music, now we have voiceover, and we're still, as we're doing this, each step we're doing, we're going back and we're cutting these beginning parts. We're cutting the beginning, or we're cutting the end, or we're changing the pacing. It's almost as you do a next step, you go back and redo the step before. As you do the next step, you go back and redo it before. You keep going and going, and that way your edit starts to kind of clean itself up as you go. This way you're not stuck at the end with a bunch of different things and the edit doesn't match. I made sure that after I add music, I kind of tweak the clips. After I add voiceover, you're tweaking the clips because you need everything to line up. And then after that, we did add a little bit of voiceover, some boom mic here. But after that, what you're really looking at is close to your finished product. So your goal after those two things for us was to get it down to the 30 seconds, which we did. And we had to cut a lot of stuff that we really were hoping to have it in it. We had a shot over the shoulder. We had a bunch of different shots, kind of different takes that we had for safety that didn't make the cut. But with 30 seconds, you know, you have to put the best stuff in it. And sometimes you have to sacrifice even the cool shots that you want in it, but it needs to make sense and it needs to look good. So that's what we went for. And the next thing that we did to add that extra production value in those extra little pieces is we added a little bit of car noise up here. You can see in the yellow. It's just some underlying car tones and honks and stuff like that. Very, very quiet and subtle, but it's just enough in the background to really add a lot of production value and stuff that you wouldn't really think of. Stuff that kind of is going above and beyond to make the commercial a little bit more professional. We also added some bird flutters here, and I duplicated them down here. Something so that this part with the actual bird poop coming down on him, without it sounds really plain and kind of awkward. So it was important that we added some sort of sound effects there to kind of add to it. So once I have close to a final product, I'm going into the audio and I'm sort of mixing it. I'm adding constant gains and exponential fades to almost every single clip, making, even if it's the tiniest part of the beginning or end, just so that you don't have any harsh cuts in the audio. You don't want anyone seeing a clip cut to the next and having it be harsh and making it look unprofessional. So all the clips, we're making sure they're nice and smooth together. If it's a different scene, or you have different white noise in the background, we don't want that to be abrupt, especially not unintentionally. We don't want it to affect the viewer watching the video and notice that. Once we finally think we have a close to finished commercial, we will send the final cut that we think is good to the client, wait for approval. Most of the time we might have 1 or 2 notes back, but for this specific project, it was we had so much pre-production that it really wasn't much of that. It was kind of just more of the pre-production was planning. And that's what made this edit pretty simple for us. If you can see from the timeline, it's not too crazy of an edit. And that's because we planned so well and we did a lot of pre-production and working with the client beforehand. So when it came to the edit, it was really just laying the stuff in and setting it up. A lot of times people will skip the pre-production part and be like, oh, I'll figure it out in the edit, which is fine. We've done it before in the past as well. But for a commercial with scenes and an actor, in a production like this, you sort of need to do it beforehand, and that way you save yourself a lot of time and energy in the edit. And especially working with a client, you don't have time to try out a ton of different things and try to make the edit come to life in different ways without knowing beforehand. So we knew what we were doing beforehand, so this edit was more drag and drop and then just perfect it from there. So overall, we're really happy with this edit. We're really happy with the final product. If you want to watch the full video, we'll link it in the description below. And if you have any other questions, we're definitely looking forward to making more tutorials in the future, maybe with a longer video that we can really go in and get into the details of how we edit a specific video and how we do transitions and all that different stuff like that. So we're excited to show you more behind the scenes stuff of that. And I'm gonna hand it over to Dylan for some final words of wisdom.
Stay organized and set yourself up for success. All right, guys, so that wraps up the 3-part series. Thank you guys so much for watching. We hope you learned something. If you have any questions about anything, feel free to ask away. But again, thank you so much. Stay tuned, and we'll see you guys next week.